Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy, and what a great show we've got coming up today, Jo.
Yes, we're all about great endeavours today. And what about this office that we're coming to you from, the historical Ripponlea Gardens? So beautiful.
Speaking of great endeavours, water bottles you can eat. We're going to meet the remarkable young inventor who's making them.
To the new treatment for prostate cancer, I'll be bringing you that breakthrough in just a minute.
Plus the skincare hack that's going to help every guy to look like Harry Styles, because for me, Nick, youth is just a state of mind.
Yes, well, as you know, Darcy, it's all about moving the body and the mind. We've all had those moments, that tip of the tongue thing. Who is that actor in that film? It's that... Oh, gone. And as we get older, these moments tend to worry us more. Is this the start of the slippery slope? Forgetfulness sliding inexorably into something worse? When we're young, our brains are like an endless series of highways and byways, brightly lit, and anything is possible. But as we age, the weeds start to grow. And if we keep travelling down the same few paths, the others risk being taken over by the jungle and becoming lost, inaccessible, lights out. So to keep the jungle at bay, we need to step off our safe, familiar paths to find the new ones. And here are some tips to do just that. Hopeless at dancing? No problem. Now's the time to learn. Moving to a rhythm, learning new steps is a great way of connecting nerves and muscles. Even just practicing balancing on one leg is really helpful. Too easy? Try it with your eyes shut. Oh! Then there's the incredible power of words and language. Memorise a poem, recite it to your lover from the heart. Or take up crosswords. Start with the quicks and work your way up. By the time you've mastered the cryptics, you'll have opened so many paths, you might even get lost. If you're right-handed, the left side of the brain gets a good workout, while the other side has a bit of a snooze. So why not wake it up by making the left hand do things it doesn't want to? Carry the shopping, mouse, shave with the wrong hand. Not easy. Or try writing or brushing your teeth with your left hand. Whoa, that's hard. Perfect. But why work just one side of the brain when we can exercise both at the same time? Great. Learn to juggle. Proven to increase brain connections. Oh! So, get to work. Hack your way through the jungle to open up those new paths. Just remember to hold your machete in the wrong hand.
So let's plunge right in with a group of inspirational Gold Coast surfers. They're all women aged 55 plus.
Forget any negative vibes about life after 50. These women are proving it's the perfect age for taking off.
It's really about, well, it's a strategic disruption to the conversation about how women age, and it's a contribution to a new conversation that is emerging about how vital, bold, strong, bright we can age, and that we have so much more to give the world, and that taking up challenging activities like surfing is just one expression of that.
Well, I took up surfing at 69 and it never entered my mind that I was too old. I just thought, yep, this is something I'm going to try. I've never done it before and I'd like to do it.
We can do anything at all, and it's an invitation. It's really like opening a door to say, what would you like to do in the second half of your life? We're choosing surfing, but you can choose anything you like.
I was given a board for Christmas, a longboard. We'd moved to Currumbin and I thought it would be an absolute crime to live there and not learn to surf.
We were inspired to make the doco because we went, within about a month, we went to a couple of different women's surf festivals, and all the women up there were like, you know, young 20, 30-year-old chicks, which was so cool. And it was just like, wow, this is great. And then we both left going, where's the older women? And we went, wow, someone should make a movie about older women who surf. Yeah. And then we went, oh, we're older women, we should do that. We could do it, we're someone. So that it came from visually not seeing anything documented about us older women. And we surf with so many older women. It's crazy cool.
I would have been surrounded by 300 other people learning to surf in Learn to Surf Corner at the Alley, which is a pretty daunting place to learn to surf when you have no idea what you're doing.
To be in the film, they had to fit 3 criteria. 3 boxes primary. 1, they needed to be a surf witch, so part of our board riders club. two, we wanted that they needed to be over 55, because in Queensland you are old if you're over 55. Tick. And number three was we wanted women who were already engaged in community and giving back.
It was pretty brutal when I was growing up out in the water. I grew up on the Gold Coast. I had my teenage years and early 20s on the Gold Coast and really, really wanted to surf during that time. I just was desperate and I tried it a number of times. It was before the birth of surf schools. We were being overrun by short, fast, three-finned surfboards known as thrusters. The guys had gotten their hands on them, and out in the water, it was brutal for women.
I tried to tough it out myself a few times and I couldn't quite pull it off, so I let go of my dream.
I gave up. You know, I got married, I had a child, I was working, I was studying, I was doing all of those things. I let my dream of surfing go. And then when I was on a camping holiday with my son Hewan at Lennox at the age of 46, he was 12, I was 46, I saw a flyer in the campsite kitchen and I just went, oh, I think this is my time. And so I went for the dream and I grabbed it on that first wave and I focused and balanced, and that first wave just opened a whole other phase of my life.
I didn't want to surf as a kid. I was happy boogie board to Brisbane, you know, come to the Goldie for holidays and stuff. And when I was 56, my 30-year-old assistant, Shane, said, Jen, we should learn how to surf. I went, oh, yes, great idea, Shane. But I knew nothing about surfing. Like, I really thought you just ride the wave. I didn't know you had to get out the back of the waves, and he used to tow me out. You know, I'd hold his leg rope. I didn't know. You had to paddle out. I knew nothing about surfing.
Oh, the hardest thing about learning to surf for me is popping up. To this day, it's still popping up. But after beating myself up for maybe 3 or 4 months about popping up, I thought, stop thinking about it. Don't let it ruin your surf. Just do what you do and you'll get better.
This is our first documentary. I had never dreamt that I would make a movie, and to be rookie filmmakers at 62 just feels really good. I love that title, Rookie Filmmakers. There is so many amazing stories of women to be told, particularly older women, and being an older woman, it's time. It's time. And if we can do anything to help advance the conversation, change the narrative, and have other women and be inspired to get out there and really live the second half of their lives versus turning into little old ladies who think they have to be little old ladies, is priceless to me.
The film Taking Off is beautifully shot and is a must-see for anyone over or under 50.
Well, those amazing surfers, they really do prove that taking up new challenges as you age is the key to living and ageing well.
Well, Jennifer and the crew are doing amazing things on the Gold Coast. Something pretty special is happening on Sydney Harbour too.
True, Jack. Marine scientists are releasing around 380 seahorse babies into Sydney Harbour's Chowder Bay, with a grand plan being to increase their chance of survival.
And they're doing this because they were listed as endangered in 2020.
The White Seahorse, which actually is named after John White, who was the Surgeon General on the First Fleet. A little bit of trivia there for you. It's the world's biggest release of seahorses, and let's hope that means that the population is going to continue to thrive.
The seahorse is actually so amazing, Joe. They can move in any direction, up, down, backwards, forwards.
And you'll love this fact, Joe. Seahorses are unique in the fish world because they're the only ones where the dads carry the babies and give birth to them.
And they can camouflage.
They are brilliant, aren't they, the seahorse? And the great news, they're planning another release, we believe, later in the year, which is sensational. Our celebration of great endeavours continues with a breakthrough in the treatment of prostate cancer.
And Hines is going to take a look at the meditation you can do anywhere, anytime. No incense required. Dr. Nicho, I was so shocked to learn that prostate cancer is the most common cancer in Australia.
Yeah, it's true, Jack, because around about 50 Australians are diagnosed every single day. And it's often said that if we men lived long enough, we'd all eventually develop prostate cancer. So it's a pretty dodgy old gland.
And is prostate cancer like breast cancer and bowel cancer where you really need to detect it early?
Well, you'd be surprised how complicated that question is, Jack. But short answer, yes, early detection is better. And then, of course, the other weapon we have in the fight against any cancer is treatment.
Well, there is a new drug that's available on the Australian market, and that's led to calls for it to be cheaper and more readily available to those who need it.
So prostate cancer, unfortunately, is a very common cancer. In Australia, 50 patients are diagnosed with prostate cancer every day. And sadly, every year, approximately 3,500 die from prostate cancer. When a cancer is metastasised, it means that it's spread. So in the case of the prostate, it means that it's spread beyond the prostate to lymph glands or bones or other organs. So that's very important because if it's contained to the prostate or the pelvis, it can be treated with surgery and or radiation and in many cases cured. However, when it's metastasised, we need to use drug treatment in order to improve outcomes for patients with prostate cancer. Until recently, the treatment for metastatic prostate cancer was to use testosterone suppression alone in the form of injections every 3 to 6 months. These injections lower testosterone, which feeds the cancer, and they're very helpful in treating the cancer. However, in a recent breakthrough, we've seen the addition of darolutamide, a hormonal drug, in addition to intravenous chemotherapy called docetaxel, significantly improves outcomes for patients with metastatic prostate cancer. So even though there's testosterone suppression is being used, there's still some testosterone made by the body and by the cancer cells themselves, and the darolutamide helps to block the effects of that. So it really works very nicely in conjunction with the injections. We also know that the chemotherapy is important in further improving outcomes. So it's really that triple therapy combination that's proven to be very effective for some patients with metastatic prostate cancer. So in terms of access to darolutamide, pleasingly it was recently approved by the TGA, and we look forward to it being available on the pharmaceutical benefits scheme so that it can be accessed by more patients with metastatic prostate cancer. This breakthrough is a big deal for us. We all want to see our patients living longer and living better. We really want to turn this condition into something which is not a terminal diagnosis, but really a chronic condition or disease that patients can live with for many years and have good quality of life during that time as well.
Some great hope, Joe, for the more than 200,000 Australians currently living with prostate cancer. Now, I love summer. I love the beach more than anything else, and there's been a bit of a heatwave going on in Europe, but a number of island holiday makers are having a bit of an adventure with a twist.
I love this, Das. Tourism officials on an island in Finland have declared the rugged piece of paradise a phone-free zone. It's in an attempt to get people off their phones and focusing 100% on nature.
People are calling it digital fasting, Joe. So as you said, no tech, no phones, which is brilliant. I think we all need it. How would you go?
Oh my gosh, I would love it.
Really?
Because I feel like I'm on the phones most of the time from habit or work. Both of those things I don't need in my life.
And I had a shocker last night, actually. I was having a crack at Will, our 16-year-old. You're on your phone too much, get off it. I took his phone away. And then I went down a rabbit hole last night before bed for about 45 minutes and went, you are the biggest hypocrite of all time. But I always think when I'm doing that too often, need to go back to a combined passion you and I have, Joe, which is meditation.
Oh, we do love our meditation. And this week, Hines is investigating the silent Vedic variety. He's still in search for the perfect practice.
You know, a really grueling body workout where you push yourself hard can be both a mental and physical fight with yourself. It hurts, but it feels so good afterwards. But what about a mind-body workout where you don't have to do anything at all and you can do it anywhere, anytime? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, want to know the hardest part? Actually making the time to do it.
Breathing gently down to our back and then just through to our heart and just sit there with the awareness on our heart.
Nicho, there are so many different types of meditation out there. Could you run me through some of the most popular?
There are a lot of types of meditation, and I think this is something that can get a bit confusing for people, really, but they fall into two buckets. A lot of meditations, if we look at them historically or culturally, come from monastic techniques. They come from temples. There are also techniques that fit into a householder bucket. We call it a householder bucket, which is people who are families, society, community, and those techniques by tradition can more be applied to people who have busy lives. Now, what people often try and do is they're trying to maybe apply monastic techniques, and we're living these modern, busy lives, and sometimes so people get a bit confused by that because maybe they think they should take an hour to do qigong on the beach, or they've got to go and sit in silence for, you know, an hour, and a lot of the monastic techniques are quite hard to apply to modern life. Breathing into that, feeling that awareness. From here we expand to an awareness of this country, of our home. So we basically would like to find a technique that would enable us to apply it during our day and not feel like it's cutting into all of the other things that we do. So I teach a technique called Vedic Meditation, that's spelled V-E-D-I-C, and we take 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon or the evening, and sit comfortably anywhere, and in a very short period of time we can release stress, fatigue. Fantastic.
Well, I want to talk more about that, the Vedic meditation. Is this derived from Ayurvedic, health principles? What's its history?
So the Veda, V-E-D-A, is a body of knowledge. And Ayurveda, which you've just mentioned, is actually part of that body of knowledge. And there are other streams of knowledge under the Veda, but Vedic meditation comes from the Veda as well. So it sits alongside Ayurveda as a body of knowledge which relates to meditation. Ayurveda is a body of knowledge which relates to our health and our body and those types of things. So yes, it's the same source, the Veda. Taking in cultures, people, states.
Let's break it down then. In our morning Vedic meditation of 20 minutes, are we letting thoughts come in and out of our mind? Are we saying anything in particular? Are we following a rule book? How does that 20 minutes look?
So the 20 minutes is we're sitting comfortably, just like you and I are now, and our eyes are closed. And Vedic meditation is a mantra-based practice. So we think a sound, a mantra, has no meaning to it, but it allows our mind to rest and our body starts to release stress. And when our body releases stress, we'll actually find ourselves thinking during meditation, which is fine, which is good, because stress is coming out. And all we do is we favour this little mantra that we've been given, and our mind can rest further. We might release fatigue, our head might drop because we're actually starting to rest deeply. And in 20 minutes, it's a combination. Think the mantra, release some stress, which we might find ourselves thinking, and release a little bit of fatigue.
All right, so think the mantra. Absolutely not making noise.
No noise.
And the mantra is something that I create, or am I given?
So you're given the mantra by a teacher. So a Vedic meditation teacher, you attend a course, and on the first evening, the teacher will perform a little ceremony, which is kind of nice. And then each person receives an individualised mantra privately with the teacher, and then they're instructed how to use it over the course, over the duration of the course. And now we've starting to get an awareness of Earth in its entirety, and we can picture ourselves looking back on Earth from space.
And then moving forward, what does it look like on the longer picture?
So it's about managing stress short-term and long-term, because we accrue stress in our body all the time. And if we don't get that stress out long-term, stress will turn into inflammation. Inflammation turns into disease. So we're going to start that whole process of being healthier when we meditate regularly and get stress out of the body. But as it relates to sleep, a lot of people find themselves, they will sit there and say, I can't sleep well. I'm awake from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. As you would know, really that's the body actually kind of waking up in the certain organs that have to turn around and do work at night, and people think it's their mind that's active, but it's really their body keeping them awake. And so people then find when they learn to meditate properly, they release the stress during the day, the body starts to rest and repair, and when it comes to lying horizontal, our sleep changes substantially when we have a good daily meditation technique.
If you're someone who's been curious about Vedic meditation or meditation in general, maybe start with something like this, because you don't need any equipment. You can do it anywhere, anytime. All you need to do is give yourself that moment to be comfortable, tune into your heart center, and simply let go.
Dr. Nick, what I love about Vedic meditation is you can do it anywhere, even sitting around. Not that you and I do much sitting around, though.
Well, too much sitting isn't good for anyone, Jack. So if you are tied to a desk, try and get up and move every half an hour, just a few little steps. I mean, it's been shown with office workers that if you move the bins and the printer to the other side of the room, even making them get up and move that more often is good for blood pressure.
Well, just that small amount of exercise is actually the equivalent to exercising daily for 6 months.
Yeah, it's like snack-sized exercising rather than the full workout meal.
Speaking of snacking, what about having a bottle of water and then snacking on the actual bottle.
I've heard of having your cake and eat it, but have your bottle and eat it?
That's right. Well, Joe has caught up with the amazing inventor of this brilliant idea. That's up next. Today we are focusing on great endeavours. And while I wouldn't exactly call this great, I did recently declutter my house. The kids have so much stuff. It's very cathartic.
It is an absolutely massive effort, actually, Jack. I've just done the same, and I look at things that I've had for 20 years. I'm like, why did I even buy that? It has made me commit to only buying things with purpose from now on.
Which is exactly what an obsessive collector in the USA thought, Joe, because this woman called Barbara Hines decided to catalogue her whole, get this, 12,795 pieces of stuff. And in the end, she found only 1% had sentimental value.
Yeah, Barbara's a photographer, Nick, and she used the photographs of all of her belongings to create some pretty remarkable art. It does make me think about over-consumerism and how much useless stuff that we collect.
Absolutely does. So 3 words: reduce, reuse, recycle, which is exactly what a young American innovator is doing, not in the war against consumerism, but the war against plastic water bottles. Maddie, you have invented an edible water bottle called the Eco Hero. Can you explain to us what was your inspiration in doing this?
My inspiration was seeing like all these plastic water bottles on the beaches and like all this garbage. I wanted to invent a way to help reduce the amount of plastic water bottles and garbage on the beaches.
I know that you love the ocean and sea creatures. What's your favourite sea creature?
My thing is probably the sea turtle because it's like really cute and I just like the colors too.
Was it thinking about all of those animals that we love in the ocean that inspired you to solve that problem of the plastics?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the reason was like wanting to help the animals and like protect the animals from getting injured from the plastic or the garbage.
So tell us, how does the Eco Hero work?
It's a bubble you basically bite into and then you drink it, and then you can either eat the membrane or you can throw it away. It'll biodegrade in the garbage. It's made out of 3 fluid chemicals: calcium lactate, sodium arginate, and xanthan gum. And when they mix together, they form a membrane, which forms kind of like this slimy texture on the outside, which is kind of like gooey too.
I understand the earlier versions of your invention were more fragile.
Yes, they were. They were a lot like thinner, and like when I played with them in my hands, it would like fall apart or like pop. And so, my final prototype, like I could actually play with it and like grab it and hold it without it popping or like breaking. I had to keep on retrying to get it right.
So how big is it? How much water actually is in the bottle?
It holds 200 milliliters, so about like a 3/4 cup, I think.
So what are some of the improvements you want to make to your Eco Hero?
I want to make it bigger and definitely the membrane thicker, because if you dropped it or if you like threw it at something, it definitely break. I also want to see if I can find out how to reseal it, so like you can use it more than once.
I understand you are one of 30 finalists in the Broadcom Masters, which is an America-wide STEM competition. What was your inspiration in entering that, and what an amazing experience to be a part of that competition?
It was like super fun meeting all the new people there and having like to see new places and like different parts of science. It was really cool.
You're only 12, but you have created something pretty amazing here. How does that feel?
It feels pretty cool. Like just knowing that like from where it was like a tiny little thing, and now it's like this huge thing that like a lot of people know about.
What's your message to people about what we might all do to help the planet?
Even though it might seem like really small, it can make a big difference.
Maddie is incredible. I mean, she's 12. When I was 12, the only thing I thought about was my Sony Walkman, and she is literally saving the planet.
Oh, well, the things that young people are doing, both boys and girls, in STEM is just remarkable. I think the future looks very bright, doesn't it?
Yeah, the positivity's happening right now, Jack. The Worldwide Fund for Nature has announced a whole range of new species in the Mekong region around Cambodia, Thailand and Vietnam.
It's pretty incredible, Das, because they found a heap of new species of reptiles, amphibians, fish and plants, and one brand new mammal.
Nick, these include a miniature orchid and a colour-changing lizard. But the thing is, now we have to work out how to protect all these amazing discoveries.
Yeah, well, they are a kind of natural treasure trove, Jack.
Well, from nature's beauties to the beauty of our men, this one's for you, Nick and Das. We get expert tips on male grooming next.
Sleep is essential for good health, but one of the problems is, unlike almost every other aspect of our lives, effort isn't rewarded. What I mean by that is our efforts to try harder may actually make it more difficult to fall asleep. Ideally, we should be aiming for 16 hours awake and 8 hours of sleep, but 1 in 3 Australians actually aren't getting enough. Things like diet, screen time, work and stress may all be impacting our ability to drift into a restful sleep. While lifestyle can be the cause of our lack of shut-eye, it may also be part of the solution. Gently winding down before bed, curbing screen time, meditation and exercise can all be beneficial. Other things that may help are natural herbal remedies such as valerian, which is traditionally used in Western herbal medicine to help relieve restless sleep and support healthy sleeping patterns. Getting a good night's sleep is so important for our mental and physical well-being. So take the pressure off yourself. Try not to dwell over the day's events or worry about the night ahead. Instead, make sleeping well a long-term goal.
OK, Das, I'm just going to come straight out and say it. You always look very dapper, very well groomed. Do you just wake up like this?
No, that is all the behind-the-scenes team at the House of Wellness, Jack. As you know, not something I spend a huge amount of time on, I'll be honest with you. But, hey, it's booming at the moment. Lots of men taking more time than ever on their personal grooming.
Well, when it comes to women, on average in the US, they spend $5,600 Australian dollars a year on their hair, their makeup and their skincare. It's a lot of money.
And as I said, the guys are into it too, big time, spending almost the same amount in the US as well, and that trend tends to follow down here. So there's a generation of guys, Jack, that are right into their personal grooming. Good on them.
Well, I know you'll be very interested in this. The men's beauty market is booming, and Jade K's along now with the latest trends.
Do men care more now about their beauty regime than before? I feel like the men that I'm around have always cared about this, but then there's a lot that just are like, no, it's fine, and it's still that way. But the ones that do take it very serious. I'm so excited today. It's almost like having family here. Sarah, who is on the show regularly, this is her other half, Nick, and we're going to be talking all about men's beauty today. So, Nick, I could see that you've got beautiful skin. And what do you use on your skin at the moment?
I use a cleanser in the shower every day,
great.
And then a bit of moisturiser. And I must admit, I'm not brilliant on looking after it too much, except for when Sarah forces me to.
Well, I might introduce you to an extra 1 or 2 steps today. We don't want you leaving with too many. So after you've cleansed your face, a lot of the time our pores are then all open, vulnerable, and before almost sealing them and popping on your moisturiser, a good step is to give a little spritz of a toner. So just a few across the face, and you'll see that basically your skin will absorb it. If you like, you can go in and kind of just dab it in. Male presenting skin is a lot thicker and can take a lot more. Cleanse, tone, moisturise. If you're wanting to venture out a little, introduce a vitamin C or hyaluronic. And do not forget, it's not even part of your skincare routine, it's separate, SPF. It's actually really funny when you're doing skincare on your friend's husband. But I think this area is where people, I think especially men, they just slap it on and it's kind of like really rough.
I must admit, when I put my moisturiser on, it's just a bit of like a...
Yeah, so I think the key is to make sure that massage really gets your skin to absorb it, rather than just slapping it on and then you have a shiny face. For any males that want to introduce a little bit extra to their grooming, a great way is to start with the brows. Something like a clear brow gel and just simply run it through. You can even do it quite messy. Rule of thumb is just always brush up and out. Makeup on men has been something that has been around for a very long time. Ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, black eyeliner. There is no shame in anyone having fun with makeup. It's genderless. Men, as they age, can often get darkness or redness around the eyes, and especially like this inner section here. So adding the tiniest bit of concealer once you've prepped your skin or even into your moisturiser will just make a difference.
I learnt from Jade today that I've got one loose eyebrow hair on my right eye, but how to really hide those blemishes as well, that's been great. Concealer was an interesting one. I probably wouldn't have looked at it before, but look, I'm 40 next year, I might have to start. And the use of a toner, I might have to add that into my routine as well. Sarah's not going to recognise me when I get home, so and she's going to have to make some room in the bathroom cabinet, I think.
OK, Joe, let me ask you this. Who spends more time getting ready, you or Daz?
Oh, well, me, but he doesn't have any hair. So
What's a bit of time to put that beret on?
Mate, he puts a hat on. Beret? How rude. He would be horrified.
He's a hat wearer.
He loves a hat, but not
No
a beret,
beret, okay.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, hat on, good to go for Daz.
Well, a recent Men's Magazine survey suggested that the average male takes 28 minutes a day for personal grooming. I find that ridiculous. I reckon Daz and I would be going about 28 minutes a week.
I think 28 minutes a day is great because I think, why should it just be women? You know, your sense of self and your self-esteem is so connected with your grooming. It's how you present to the world. I love that.
Well, I'm all up for being clean and being healthy, but too much time in the mirror and personal grooming, Joe, is just not the go,
Well,
surely.
what about this one? The same research showed that 1 in 5 men only wash their important bits daily, not the rest of them. Now, that just doesn't bear thinking, right?
That's a bridge too far. As I said, cleanliness, absolutely. Take as much time as you can and need, but looking at yourself in the mirror. My kids say to me, you've had the same haircut, Dad, since you were 12. And I say, yes, because it's efficient.
You're on a winner there, Dus. Why change?
Can't change now.
Well, I think one of the best ways to look great is to eat well, and Hines and Zoe serve up some dishes to put some zing into your spring next.
There's so many great things about netball. I'd say one big main thing is definitely the group of people I get to be around constantly, having that team environment. Everyone is there to put 100% in, make you your best version.
For 22-year-old Sunday Aryang, netball began as a bit of fun, inspired by her first love of basketball. But fast forward a few years and she was representing Australia in the 2022 Commonwealth Games, where the Diamonds came away with gold.
Being the first Ethiopian born to play in Suncorp Super Netball and then to also debut for the Diamonds means so much to me. Even when I think about it to this day, I don't think I remember much of going on, and when it happened, I was just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, real nervous, real scared, and then, you know, warmed up, my heart was beating, and then just sitting on the bench watching them being like, wow, everyone here is amazing players, and like, how am I in this seat as to be able to watch and be a part of the team? And then I went out and can't remember anything else from that point on, but it was amazing. I think the experience after it was the best, just seeing how happy everyone was for me and then all the messages I was getting, it was just lovely. You know, I just always wanted to make my parents proud because of, you know, their sacrifices. So I think even just that, being grateful for the position that you're in as well. The more resilient you are, the further you'll go. So it's definitely a big part of sport, and, you know, it's great when you have it. So I'm happy to, you know, have that part.
Sunday's humble yet determined nature has earned her a place in a different squad, Cedarfield's Dream Team, alongside 6 other inspirational Australian female athletes.
The Cedarfield Face the World campaign is an amazing thing to be a part of. I'm just super grateful that Cedarfield gave me the opportunity to, you know, speak on my story, but also be a role model for other kids. And the campaign is just about empowering those around you. And I think pushing to achieve your goals no matter what the world throws at you. And I think it's something that I've always gone by since I've been younger. So it's great to be able to show it. Being an elite athlete definitely has some effects to the skin. I think the sweat can be a problem. I think the frequent flying can be an issue, and just our schedule and how busy we are can also bring a toll on our skin. The new Cetaphil Optimal Hydration Skin Replenishing Water Gel provides long-lasting 72-hour hydration. This weightless, cooling, oil-free gel is formulated with slow-release technology. With an ingredient blend of hyaluronic acid and powerful polyglutamic acid, it replenishes and relieves dehydrated, tight, rough, and irritated skin. The next point in my career is definitely playing alongside my sister Ruth. It would just be cool to be able to be out there with her, I guess, boss her around, show her who's the boss, but then also just for my parents to be able to, watch us doing that as well would be even better.
Also a taller than her?
Yep, I'll probably get kicked out because she's taller than me.
Peak mushroom foraging season has just wrapped up, although some species do stick around all year.
And this time of year, we see a spike in mushroom poisonings, and appropriately enough, 90% of the deaths come from the death cap.
So the great news is that scientists have just discovered a potential antidote for the world's deadliest fungus.
Yeah, it's actually an injectable dye that's traditionally been used to investigate the health of livers and eyes. It's been around for decades, but the scientists were amazed to discover it actually may work as an antidote to the death cap fungus. Now, don't go relying on that. Let's leave the foraging for wild mushrooms to the experts.
Like our very own food experts, Hines and Zoe. While we're shivering through winter, they are bringing a very early taste of spring.
We made it! Oh! I am so pumped, Zoe. It is nearly the end of winter, and that means no more puffer jackets, no more scarves, and hello, spring.
It's not all sunshine and rainbow, Lukey. Did you know couples are more likely to break up in spring? And what about those swooping magpies? Now we've got to protect our heart and our head.
I can actually handle the heartbreak and the birds because there's a better trade-off. All the incredible fruits and veggies that come into season.
And one of those foods we can celebrate is pineapple. Admittedly, it's more in season at the end of spring, but I just want any excuse to make my pineapple and chilli smoothie.
I love pineapple. It is one of my favourite fruits because it's loaded with so many different nutrients. We're talking vitamin C, antioxidants, it's low in calories and delish. It may also help digestion because it contains a combination of enzymes called bromelain, which help break down protein.
And that's why sometimes people get that slight tingling or burning sensation in their mouth when they eat fresh pineapple, as our tissues are made from protein. It's normal, it doesn't mean you're allergic to it.
While you've got the fruit covered, I'm going to use a spring vegetable, one of my favourites, asparagus. It's so versatile. You can put it with scrambled eggs, roast it, pan fry, or even have it raw, like my shaved salad today.
That's another low-calorie, high-nutrient-dense food full of fibre, folate and vitamin K, which is an essential nutrient for our bones.
That's all well and good, Zoe, but I think what the people at home really want to know is why eating asparagus can cause a really unpleasant, pungent-smelling urine.
All right, go on. Why is it?
Well, it's because of something called asparagic acid, a non-toxic sulfur-containing compound found exclusively in asparagus. When your body metabolises this compound, it produces several sulphurous byproducts, and of course, sulphur, not a pleasant smell.
Yeah, think like rotten eggs or natural gas.
That's it, but funnily enough, it's not the only food that can change the smell of your wee. I'm talking about things like garlic and Brussels sprouts, and then there's...
Okay. I actually want to enjoy this beautiful spring-inspired smoothie and none of this stinky talk.
We now know that one of the positives to come out of the pandemic, Jack, was a sense of people getting kinder around the globe.
You're so right, Das. People perform small acts of kindness both for strangers and people they know every 2 minutes.
While on the flip side, a global study found that some people call out for what's known as low-cost acts of kindness every 2 minutes. We're talking things like helping cross the road or opening a door every 2 minutes. Good.
But the great thing about human nature, Joe, is that we found out that most people respond positively to these requests rather than reject them.
Do you know what? I reckon the most helpful community I've ever been a part of was the primary school community. Don't you think?
I agree.
You know, if someone needs help, there's always a tribe around you.
Well, that's all we've got time for from the beautiful Ripponlea Estate. Great to spend the afternoon with you guys.
If you want to check out more House of Wellness, head along to House of Wellness Radio every Sunday.
Don't forget to pick up our September lift out with a focus on parenting.
And the wonderful Liptember in support of women's mental health.
Great to catch up with Dr. Nick Carr, to Jacqui Felgate, to Joe Stanley. And thanks as always to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you next time.